I'm going to run you through the money myths that are keeping you broke as a single woman right now. Number one, money comes from men. Most girls from girlhood are conditioned and programmed to believe that money comes from or through men. Whether that was your father, an uncle, a brother, maybe the women in your family, you witnessed them whenever they needed money, go and find a partner. Either go on a date, get married, or ask men for money. This is global conditioning that most girls have received, that money comes from or through men. It is the entire reason why the provider archetype still lives on today in 2026, even though research, data, and evidence shows that money doesn't come from men, quite frankly. But you need to understand that money is a renewable resource. It is not doesn't have any isms, okay? It's not racist, sexist, or ageist. It also doesn't have a gender. It is not masculine or female, okay? And so money doesn't come from men. You have to understand as a single woman that your life is not automatically guaranteed to be easier. If you were in a relationship with a man, if you were married to a man, your financial life would not automatically be easier. There's often a number of factors that play into whether or not a marriage financially works for both partners, much less is easy. It's really important that you do away with that myth. And yes, we can acknowledge that systemically, women have been excluded from financial systems for a very long time. It's only about 50 years now since a woman could have her own bank account, sign for her own loan, and make her own money. And of course, when it comes to pay equity and the pay gap, women are still fighting for that pay gap to not exist. However, okay, even within that systemic historical context, we are living in new times. Women are able to have their own money. And if you are seeking to operate financially like an adult and be self-sufficient financially, you have to accept that money does not come from men. And it is the antithesis, it's the complete opposite to what most young girls have been taught from girlhood into adulthood. And there are women now who still want to hang on to this belief. They're attached, okay, to the belief that money comes from men. Myth number two, men are naturally better with money. This is categorically untrue. There is so much research, evidence, data, and statistics that shows that men are not automatically better with money because they have a willy. Okay? A lot of the time when you look historically, men have been allowed into financial systems. So they may well collectively, not every individual man, have more access. But that access alone does not mean they are more knowledgeable, that they are experts, that they are better with making money, managing money, having money, investing money, and spending money. I always used to find it fascinating. One of my formative careers was in financial compliance, specifically risk, etc., in the consumer credit space. And the amount of times women would do their own research, look to invest in something, or be managing their debt, and they would defer to a male partner or a brother or a male friend who had no knowledge, no specialism whatsoever in finances, and they would lose money or lose out on an opportunity. Men are not naturally better when it comes to managing, having, and spending money. Now, it is true that men have been conditioned differently in relation to money, absolutely. And does that often impact the way they see money? Yes, it does. But they are not naturally better with money. Men have money issues too. And in the broader social, pop social conversations about money, we see that men are not naturally better with money just because they've got a willy. The third myth is that a relationship makes you financially secure. This is a big one. I've talked about this before. Most women today are significant contributors financially into their households. I'm talking about average, ordinary women, and it's okay to be average and ordinary. It's fine. It's not a problem. Okay? Most women are significant financial contributors. A lot of women are in fact breadwinners or the main earner in the household. Okay? And actually, when you talk to financial experts and consultants who help couples manage money, Those couples are not automatically more financially secure. They still have money problems. I'm a single woman, and at times I've been asked to lend money to married couples. A relationship, a marriage specifically, does not automatically mean that you will be financially secure. You only have to listen to women who are stay-at-home wives, stay-at-home mothers, talk about how they have to budget and how money is tight, and they are married. Okay? Many of you who come from immigrant households, if you're honest and you think back to your childhood and you observe the way your parents and the work your mother did to bring money into the household. Okay? So a relationship by itself is not automatically going to give you financial security. You'd have to choose really well. You've got to be strategic and selective about who you choose to be in a relationship with, who you choose to marry with, who you choose to procreate with, if you want to create financial security. And there's lots of other kind of conversations we could have around what financial security actually means, what it looks like, because it's different for everybody. So that's a big myth, okay? The fourth myth that is keeping you broke as a single woman, that is that money from men, when it comes from men, is free. It is never free. It is never free. Money, when it's given to you by a man, particularly during the dating stages and even within marriages, it's never free. It always requires some kind of labor, whether it's your energy, your time, your attention, your affection, your words of affirmation, your body. And I've talked about this before. Don't be asking men for money, especially if you're a young woman, a young single woman. It is unwise, okay? It is transactional, and it is cosplaying as a sex worker. I'll let you argue about that in the comments. But money from men is never free. There's no such thing as free money from a man. Okay? Even married women have agreed to be married. They've entered into a legal contract. And there are expectations on them as a woman in order to receive this supposed financial covering, security, and leadership. It is always, always costly to you. There is always a price. That doesn't always have to be negative. For some women, that is a trade-off they're willing to make. But money from men is never free. And if you listen very carefully, especially when you are listening to misogynistic men, they are very clear that when they do give a woman money or material items or pay for things, it is not free. They always have expectations. This is something you need to accept. Okay? It's never free. It's never free. The next myth is that marriage protects you financially. So here's the thing. What a lot of women fail to really think about critically is that it's the laws of the state or the government that actually provide you with protection, okay? Not the man. The law governs and dictates how a marriage is formed because it is a legal contract principally. Even if you're religious and you believe that there are spiritual and religious covenants, it is a legal contract in the eyes of the government. So the laws of the country that you are residing in, that you marry in even, they are the laws that govern how the marriage is formed, how the marriage is dissolved, if that happens, okay? Those laws govern how assets are passed on. Those laws govern how property is divided. It is not the man or marriage itself that protects you. Let's get that straight. It is the law that provides these financial protections or provides guidance on how finances are to be managed in the marriage. Okay? This is key because a lot of single women are still thinking that, again, they would be more secure, they would be protected financially if they got married. The protection that you think exists, that might exist for some people in the form of prenups and trusts and wills, etc., they are governed by the law anyway, not by the man and not by the concept or idea of being married. It is all legal. The next myth that a lot of single women believe and have been taught is that being single is expensive or more expensive and risky. Now, here's what I will say. It is very true that there is what they call a single tax. Okay, there are things that when you are the only one paying for them, the cost is the cost. There's no splitting it. There's no discount. You know, if you're in the UK, of course, council tax, there is a single person discount, right? But that's quite rare, isn't it, right? In terms of single people being discounted or being given discounts because they're a single earner in a home. When you travel, for example, you'll pay single person supplement quite often in terms of your accommodation. So yes, it is true that if you are a single adult, that you are carrying the full financial cost of your life and your desired lifestyle. But it doesn't have to be more expensive. It doesn't have to be risky. This is why I train hundreds of women to understand how to sell and how to make more money. Because you can mitigate whatever risk you think there is because you are single. Okay, in fact, there are different risks when you go into a marriage or into a relationship where you intertwine finances. So it's a different risk profile, but it's one that can be mitigated. It's one that can be navigated as a single woman, particularly if you're an adult, professional single woman and you're making money. Okay, you can mitigate that risk. A lot of the time when single women say that they are broke, when they say that they're depressed, they're sad, they are overburdened, a lot of it is because you're either broke or you don't have enough money. The minute you get your money up, you'll find your mood goes up, for starters. And when you're able to bring money into your life that enables you to have infrastructure and to be supported in your life, your mood goes right up. Okay, so often, if you're feeling some type of way, you probably want to get your money up as a single woman. That's the truth. Get your money up. And then the last myth we'll cover in this video is that wanting money makes you masculine, undesirable, and unattractive. I love this myth because it's one that's levied against me and has been over the years many a time. And the money is not gendered. Okay? Wanting to be supported in your life, wanting ease, wanting options, choice, freedom, leverage, that is not masculine. And so when you hear men, they're usually uneducated, low literacy levels, and usually misogynistic, okay? Who will say that they're not interested in a woman who cares about money, that women are materialistic, women are gold diggers, which is ironic. All of that's nonsense, foolishness and rubbish. It is not true. There is nothing more feminine in many ways, if you even believe in some of the ways femininity is now viewed and taught. But there's nothing more feminine than being able to receive what comes with money. Support, ease, surplus, abundance, options, rest, pleasure, and play. Those are the things that having money unlocks. So if you want to be feminine in the way that misogynistic men need you to be, but broke, go ahead. If you want to be feminine in the ways that misogynistic men need you to be, but beholden to that man for money. Because by the way, it's okay to be average and ordinary, but most average and ordinary men are not going to, bathe you in money. Unlimited money. I saw a video recently where a man who is a husband and a father said that his job is not to create a soft life for his wife. Now, there's a lot of play on words happening quite often at the moment. Often women develop certain terms and phrases to describe and express, something that's a very womanly experience, like the soft life. And of course, the soft life now gets co-opted on social media. Everybody's got a view on it. And I thought it was interesting because this man who's a husband and father was saying that he's told his wife and family that his job is not to provide them with a soft life. His job is to provide them with a decent, good life. Okay? This is what I'm saying to you. The truth of the matter is everybody has their own money stories and their own relationships with money, the way they see money. Money from a man is never free. And when you allow yourself to be beholden to a man for money, it means you have to get with his program. The way he sees money, the way he wants to spend that money, you will be judged for the way you want to spend that money. You might be judged for how much money you desire and what you're spending it on. When you're a single woman, you can bypass all of that nonsense. You can go out there and make and have as much money as you want. You can spend it as you want. It is not masculine, unattractive, or undesirable. I tell you what is unattractive is when you're broke, when you feel broke, when you can't do the things that you want to do, when you're an adult, but you're struggling financially to cover your basics, or you're struggling to have the trip once a year that you want, or you do need some dental treatment, something happens with the car, the boiler breaks down, and you genuinely are struggling, you're anxious, you're losing sleep because you can't pay for it. So you need to, as a single woman, do away with these myths because they're keeping you broke. They're keeping you on the hook. Your nervous system is always dysregulated because you believe these myths that you've been taught. These myths are keeping you broke as a single woman. And this is why I teach single women all over the world about how to become well-resourced, so that you can exist in your life with ease. And so that your relationship status becomes a really uninteresting fact about you. And so check out in the description, there's a link to the Single Woman Sales Intensive. Hundreds of women around the world are learning how to sell, how to turn their skills into something that they can package and sell to a prospective client and customer so that they can become well-resourced and live the life that they really deserve to live.